Hey everyone, welcome back to the Chapple Show, and today we're talking about how to invest money for beginners. I'm going to give you guys about, 5, 6, or 7 different ways to invest your money. We're going to start off with some basic stuff, then we're going to get into some more complex stuff which you might need a little bit more money for. But anyways, let's get started here. First, I just want to kind of say some terms and get some terms out of the way that I'm going to say. So the very first thing is return on investment, also called ROI. So I'm going to give you an example here. Let's just say you want to invest $100. And the ROI is 6%, meaning that you would get a 6% return on investment every single year. So by the end of the year, on a 6% return, you would have a $6 profit, which would mean your investment would be worth $106. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And for example, if you had $10,000 and you had a 10% return on investment, you would get $1,000 in profit and your investment total would be $11,000. I just want to get that out of the way to start. And the other 2 terms I want to talk about are active investing and passive investing. So active investing is you're continuously putting in time and effort into your investments. Meanwhile, passive investing or passive income comes from you putting in some maybe time and effort up front, and then you continuously get paid without having to put in any further time or work or effort into it. So those are just some terms I want to get out of the way. So let's get started here. The very first thing you should do if you want to invest your money, now this is not for everyone, but this is for a lot of young people especially. So the number one thing I recommend that you should do, people may not think of this as investing, but it is pay down bad debt. Now, people don't like hearing this, and if you've watched my videos for a long time, you guys have probably not heard me talk a lot about this because I expect a lot of you to not have very much debt. But anyways, let's get into this. So why do I say you should do this first before you get into some other stuff on this list? Because it decelerates your growth, especially if you have any business or your personal investments or whatever. And also, if you get rid of your debt or your monthly payments, then you suddenly have an extra maybe few $100s per month that you can go towards investing in some of these other things. So I'm going to give you an example here. So what do I mean by bad debt? And there is good debt. So good debt is stuff. Good debt are things like investment properties, and I wouldn't consider your own house as a bad debt or good debt. I think that your own personal house where you live in, if you have a mortgage on that can be kind of in between. It's not necessarily bad or good, so I'm going to leave that out of this. But investment properties, they count. We're going to go with, let's just say, leveraged stocks can be okay too. Pretty much good debt is stuff where, leveraged stocks. Good debt is stuff where you are taking out a loan to hopefully increase your income in the near future or, future, whatever it may be. So why I don't put student loans on here is because they're a bad deal for the most part. I mean, most of the times when you go to school and you take out a student loan, it's for a career that is in liberal arts or something like that. I wouldn't say most of the time, but if you're taking out a student loan to go into history or something like that, it's not necessarily worth it at all. But if you go take out a student loan for engineering, math, sciences, whatever, the STEM classifications of courses, then student loans can be considered an investment. I understand that. So anyways, pay down bad debt. So an example of bad debt is, we'll go with credit cards, most student loans, I would say. We're going to go with auto payments and I guess payday loans. Those are just some examples. Stuff that usually has pretty high interest rates and goes towards stuff that doesn't necessarily have to do with your income too much. So anyways, yeah, I just recommend you pay down bad debt first before you get into some of these other investments here, because it could free up every month a few $100s of income. So for example, if you have a monthly payment of whatever, $200 on some source of bad debt, and it's going to continue for the next 2 years, and let's just say you have an extra $5,000, I would probably use that $5,000 to get rid of this debt and create a higher net profit for you every month, which you can use to invest, rather than potentially investing in some of these other options here. Now, that's just personally me. I know there's lots of people that will recommend different stuff, will recommend you use that money, that loan money, to potentially invest. But guess what? What if you lose that investment money? That is completely possible. So just pay down your debts first, bad debts first, and then we can move on here. So yeah, pay down your debt. That's a very good investment. Can save you $50 to $500 a month, or $1,000 or $2,000 a month, however much money you use to pay off debt every month. So we're going to move on here. We're going to move on to number 2, which is, so this is the next level up, and this can be the most important one for most people. It doesn't require a lot of money. Some of the other ones on here require a lot of money to get a good return, but here's the thing. We're going to say usually it's about $50 to $500 here. That's usually the entry fee for this to kind of get going, is this investment is yourself. And people don't like hearing this one too. We're going to get into some of the more common ones coming up here. But investing in yourself, this could be the highest return on investment you ever have. So what do I mean by that? Well, this is stuff that can potentially increase your future income. And I know that sounds weird. So this is stuff like getting extra training for your career, extra training for your career. This could be reading books, reading nonfiction books. I mean, not fiction. Like, don't read Harry Potter. Go out and read a Warren Buffett book. This could be stuff like learning about finance. So go onto YouTube. Maybe watch a lot of my videos on finance. That could help you out a lot. So learning about finance. But investing in yourself, for me personally, was learning how to start a business, how to run a business, how to take care of the books and lower your taxes, all that stuff. It kind of adds up, and that's the highest ROI, because a book is anywhere from $2 to $25 to $30. And so you can get, 10 books, 10, 15, 20 books, read all of them, and all of a sudden your knowledge on how to lower your tax rate, how to earn an extra $100 per month, all that kind of stuff, that adds up, and that could be the best investment you make in your life. I think I'm going to make a video on this, or maybe it's come out already. Warren Buffett and Tony Robbins, the greatest investment they ever made in their lives weren't stocks or anything like that. It was in themselves, and I'll explain that in another video. And anyways here, so we're going to move on to these next investments here. So I just want to say that this, number 2, investing in yourself, it's actively investing in yourself. Investing in knowledge, investing in new ways to increase your income. So one thing that I like to correlate this to actually is investing in yourself. Let's just say you're in sales. If you go and take a sales course from one of the top salespeople out there, like I listen to Grant Cardone for sales, even though not a lot of people like him for other stuff, and I understand why. But he is one of the best salesmen out there that I know of. And he has a complete course where you can go on and learn all about sales, and I don't know how much it is, but if it's $100 and it can earn you one extra car sale a year, if you're a car salesman, it's totally worth it. But it's probably going to earn you more than one car sale a year. It might be 5 more. It might be 10 more. And all of a sudden, that's the best return on investment you have. So anyways, we're going to move on here now. I might have to erase this board actually. Okay, so now that I've skipped ahead here, we're going to move on to the third thing, which is a little bit more complex, requires a little bit more money in order for you to actually get a decent return. But it is very common. It's what most people tell you to do. Not most people, but what smart people will tell you to do for the most part, is stocks. So let me kind of explain the 2 ways that you can make money in the stock market. There is the risky way, which a lot of people online will tell you to do, but I don't. Or 2, which is the safe way, which will almost guarantee that you do well in the long term. So when most people think of the stock market, they think of it as something risky, like you don't know if you're going to lose your money, you don't know if you're going to make your money. That's true if you're stupid. or if you are one of those day traders, which is kind of, they go hand in hand. So a day trader is someone who would make a trade every day that would buy and sell a stock, buy low, sell high. You always hear that all the time. But something interesting is that 90% of millionaires that made a large amount of money in the stock market didn't make more than one trade every single year. And it was always buy. They never sold. So how did they make all that money in the stock market without buying and selling every day and buying and selling every month or 2 months or whatever? Well, I'll explain. So the first way, the dumb way to make money in the stock market is what most of you people hear about. It's the capital gains way. It's you are buying a share of a company for low and then hopefully selling high in like a week or something like that. Just ignore that completely because it doesn't work. Actually, 70% of the returns in the stock market have actually come from this. It's come from something called dividends. 70% of the returns have come from this, and it's something that not a lot of people know about and a lot of beginners don't know about. So, I'll explain what those are. There are a large portion of companies, I don't know, just maybe half of companies, maybe a little bit more, that offer these things called dividends. And so what they are is every single quarter, which is every 3 months, or sometimes it's once a year, sometimes it's every 6 months, it depends, the company will send out a bunch of its profits to the shareholders and split it up evenly between the shareholders, depending on how much each shareholder owns. I know it sounds complex. So let's just say you have $100 invested in this one company and they give you a 4% dividend. That means that every single year that company will pay you $4 on top of your $100 investment. So your investment will be worth $104. Does that make sense? To a lot of you that might be groundbreaking because you think the stock market is just super risky, it's for the Wall Street people. Dividends are the way to go. Dividends are the super safe way to get an easy return every single year. The value of your stock might go down. That $100 investment that you made, it might be worth $75 next week, but you still get your 4% return no matter what. That is why I always recommend buy stocks with dividends and occasionally take a risk, like 20% of the time once you get used to the stock market, take a risk, but most of the time stick to stocks that offer dividends because that's the safe way to go here. Now generally, so what can your returns be if you do invest this way, investing in the long term? You know, what I say is if you're good, you can get a 6 to 8% return, but it all depends. It depends on the market. There's lots of factors, but generally speaking, you'll get a 4 to 10% return, ROI, if you invest safely for the long term. So if you're looking to, oh yeah, here's the other thing too. I recommend that you invest $500 at a time, minimum, preferably more, because every time you do a trade, there's always fees involved, and it's just easier to get a return on investment the more you invest. So let's just say you invest, you're a young person out there, you invest $1,000 in stock X. You get a 5% dividend on it every single year, meaning that they will pay you $50 every year by just owning your stock. If you invest by owning their stock, if you just invest $1,000 in it. This is as passive as it gets. You invest in that stock once, money's just deposited in your account every single quarter for years and years and years. That's how I made money. That's how I make money in the stock market, even though I'm not trading a lot right now. And then capital gains is more active investing. So if you want, you can be a day trader, go take that risk, go take the risk, but you're active. You're dedicating a lot of time into this and a lot of time and research all the time, 24/7. You have to be thinking about it. It's not for everyone. If you are an employee, you have a job, you have a family, go the dividend route. You'll just get some money every year. And on top of this, on top of the 4% dividend and 5% dividend, the stock can go up in value. So let's just say you buy this stock for $100 a piece and you hold on to it like a lot of people do and buy more over the years. And in 50 years, each one of those stocks can be worth $1,000. $10,000, $5,000. It all depends on inflation, how the company's doing, all that kind of stuff. And so you can easily sell that stock when you're older and you just want to cash out and go live your life. So the 4% return for me comes mainly from dividends. So that's something to think about. Stocks are a good way to go. If you are a beginner, you can set up an account online. Go sign up with an online brokerage. I have a stock market course. I go through setting up everything in there, so I'll leave a link in the description. You guys might want to check it out. Anyways, we're going to move on to number 4 here and hopefully not keep this video a billion minutes long. So number 4 is, I would say it's along the lines of the same level of, maybe it's less complex than stocks, so I shouldn't have put it number 4 here. But these are money savers. And they can range from, I don't know, $20 to $20,000. This all depends on how much money you have and what you want to invest in. So let me give you an example here. I have them written down. So I did a complete separate video on some of these, on some of the cheaper ones. So like coffee makers, if you're going to Starbucks every day, make your coffee at home, saves you a couple $100 a month. Simple right there. That's a good money saver. And we're going to move up here. If you own a home, have an electric bill, solar panels. You can get tax breaks and you can get paid and cut out your hydro bill, or your electricity bill for you Americans out there, completely if you put up solar panels. And it's worth the investment in 5-10 years after you buy them. So that's something to think about. There is oh yeah, there's just random stuff that's good for the long term. So like insulation, on like getting better insulating windows and doors. I know that's a really random one, but that can lower your heating costs and air conditioning costs. And especially if you live in like a super hot area like Los Angeles, or you live in a super cold area like Canada, that's a good investment, insulation. And then there's other stuff like LED light bulbs, I'm not going to write this down, rechargeable batteries, all that kind of stuff. Like everyday things that can save you $20, $30, $40 a month, but might require an upfront fee. The example that I like to use is rechargeable batteries. So every time I do some of these recording sessions, which can last hours, I burn through 4 of these batteries. And I do recordings every few days, every week, whatever. And I was burning through all these batteries and I was like, you know what, this is just costing me too much money. They're like $1 per battery, $1.50 per battery, depending on where you go. Sometimes it's cheaper. Why don't I just go get rechargeable batteries? They're $28 for the charger and the 4 batteries, and that's it. I've never had to buy batteries since. It's just something to think about. Like, what's that thing for you that you can make a long-term investment in every day? For most people, it's coffee, so that's what I'm going to stick with here. But we're going to move on to the best investment, but it is by far the most complex one. And I'm gonna, there's gonna be some more after it, but I'm gonna talk about it. And it's my favorite one. And I know I'm biased because I talk about this kind of stuff a lot, but let me explain here. So anyways, what do you guys think so far? What do you think of these investments? Which one's your favorite? Stocks? Which one's most suitable for you, actually? Because not a lot of people want to go the stock route. And not a lot of people want to go, like have to research the market or anything like that. I mean, that's a normal thing. Is everyday investment stuff for you? Is paying down debt the best one for you? Which one is it? Okay, hopefully the board is dry. All right, hopefully your mind will be blown after this one. All right, so this one is amazing. But here's the one part of it, is that it does require the second most money out of everything I'm going to mention. But it requires roughly minimum $10,000 entry fee. So $10,000 plus, in my area, $10,000 won't even get you a part of this investment. And it is real estate. Oh, Jesus. The board is wet, so that is why all this writing is going to be a little bit off. Real estate. So why is this the best investment? Why do you guys think? I'll give you the 3 big reasons here, actually. So by real estate investing, I mean you're buying a place and you're renting it out. You're not buying a home for you and your girlfriend or wife, husband, boyfriend, whatever. You're not buying a house for you guys to live in. You're buying a house and then renting it out. Preferably a multifamily home, like a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, apartment complex. You're buying something like that where you can get multiple families or multiple people in there with one mortgage. Under one building. There's a few different reasons why this is the best investment in my mind. So the number one is you get rent money. So you get rent money. You know, it might be best to kind of give you an example here, actually. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you an example here. I think I have one here. So this house, let's just say you want to buy an investment property, a house, and it's $500,000. $500,000. So the mortgage on that would be roughly $1,800 a month. And your investment, your down payment, which is your investment, is $100K. $100K down payment. So this is your investment. You're not putting in $500,000, you're putting in $100,000. I'm going to break this down for you here. The mortgage is $1,800 a month. So what you do is an example amount, a fair amount of rent, if it's a multifamily home, is the total rent will be about $2,500 a month. Now, there's going to be other expenses too. There's going to be taxes. There's going to, well, actually, let me get to that in a second. There won't be taxes. There's going to be, like, the house is going to break down, tenants are going to leave, whatever. So, but this is just a really, really rough example here. All right, I kind of messed up here, but we're just going to go through rough numbers here. Let's just say after everything, this is actually a good investment. You end up with $8,000 in cash. So you get an 8% ROI, which is really good in real estate. Usually the minimum most people would require is about 6 to 6.5%. This one is somehow 8%. It's imaginary, whatever. So your ROI is 8%. That's good. You're earning $8,000 per year in cash on a $100,000 investment. It's the exact same as stocks. Think about this. You're just putting up $100,000 and you're getting $8,000 profit at the end. That's all this is. All right, so now we're going to continue through this here. Oh yeah, so on top of this, this is just the cash. So this is, every month you're making a $700 profit, roughly. Okay, it might be, I just wrote like roughly 500, 700, 600, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're making, let's just say, a $700 profit every single month, which is amazing. But that's not where most of the money comes from, actually. Most people don't count this, but I do. Because the renters are paying down your mortgage for you. So, for this example, every year, they are paying down in the principal amount of about $20,000. So you get $20,000 in equity of the house, in ownership of the house, if you have a 25-year mortgage. So you're getting $20,000 in equity plus $8,000 in cash. That's really good. So I would count this as you're getting $28,000. Most people wouldn't, and I would disagree. But that's something to think about. They're paying down the mortgage and you're getting ownership in the home every single year that they stay there. That's not the biggest advantage. Here's the biggest advantage. Why this adds up if you own a lot of property. There's this thing called depreciation. And any sort of investment property, you can do this. So depreciation is a government rule that's in US, in Canada, and you can write off 4% of the property's value. Actually, it's of the building's value because it doesn't count the land. But of the property's value, you can write off 4% of it as a tax break every year. So, and all of the business expenses. So any repairs, anything like that. If you want to fix up the place, fix it up, tax, or it's an expense. So by just doing depreciation and no other expenses for this property, you'd get about $20,000 in tax breaks per year. 20K tax break. Think about that. Now here's the interesting part here. $8,000 profit, so it's bringing you $8,000 in income every year. $20,000 tax break. Meaning that you have, technically, you'll get $12,000 in a tax break after everything, just because you own this property. So if you're working at a job where you get, or you have a business or whatever, where you make, I don't know, $40,000 a year, and it's your own business, there's some different, tax things you're gonna have to get around, but just a rough example, your income level will be $28,000. You'll get a tax break if this is all incorporated into the same business. That's something to think about. So that's why I think real estate's number one. It'll always be number one in my mind unless they change some other stuff, but I'm going to talk about some other basic ones here. So those are the big five that I talk about in most of my videos, but we're going to move on to some here that I don't necessarily like to talk about all the time because I don't believe in them, but they're better than doing nothing. So what do you guys think about real estate? Do you guys have enough money to get into it? That's the real question here. You usually have to get approved for a mortgage. That takes time. You're going to have to hire a property manager maybe if you want to. You don't have to. There's lots of other things that go along with real estate investing. This was a really basic example. And I've talked to a bunch of real estate investors, people that own real estate companies, including real estate development companies. There's always additional expenses. There's, land transfer taxes, there's lawyer fees and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought I'd give you guys a rough example because I only have so much time on here. We're going to move on to number 6. Number 6 is probably the worst one out of all of them, but it's the easiest if you just do not want to think about anything. This is get your money into a Roth IRA or 401k. And the only reason why I would recommend this is because, let's just say, you take home $2,000, or let's go $3,000 per paycheck. Actually, that's every 2 weeks, right? Do you guys get, I don't know, I've never got paid as an employee before. So I think you guys get paid every 2 weeks, right, on Fridays? And so you make, let's just say, $2,000. I guess that's fair. You make $2,000 and you make $4,000 a month. Let's just go $4,000 a month. So why this is good is because a lot of the times they'll just take that out of your paycheck. They'll take away 10% of your paycheck, $400 a month, and immediately put that into a 401k, Roth IRA, whatever. And so what I like about it is that it is forcing you to save and get a slight return on your money. This return can range from 1% to 6%, generally speaking. I don't believe in it. They take fees and I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of them to begin with. I like you having control over your own money. There's fees if you want to take money out. There's management fees. In the long run, if you're at the same company and with the same IRA, 401k for 20 years, you could lose out on tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. And I'm not joking. Millions if you're there for 30 or 40 years. So it's something to think about. Compound interest adds up over time. Reverse compound interest. So I mean, people taking away 1% of your investment every year. That's what they do. So something to think about. But it forces you to also live more in a more frugal way. So it also means that you have savings. So it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, but it's nowhere close to investing yourself. That's why. I'm not even going to write too much about this because it's just. Yeah, we're going to move on to number 7 here. These are stuff that are not for beginners. So this is why I'm not going to really go into too much detail about them. But this is, we're going to talk about peer-to-peer lending. And we're going to talk about, these also require a bunch of money too. We're going to talk about investing in other companies. Privately, you're also called a VC, venture capitalist. Requires a lot of money. So we'll talk about peer-to-peer lending. Okay, so you go to a bank. Not you, I'm just giving you an example here. You go to a bank and you want a loan. You want $1,000 for whatever reason. Someone got sick. So you go to the bank, hey, I need $1,000 today. You can check my credit, here you go. the bank goes, okay, we'll loan you this money, but we want 10% or, we'll just say 8% back in 3 months. So I want you to pay us back $1,080 in 3 months. Okay, that sounds okay. So you go off, you pay the medical bills, and then you slowly pay them $1,080 per month, or $1,080 in 3 months. So you pay them whatever, $300, $400 per month. And the bank ends up making $80 from you. So that's what peer-to-peer lending is. And you are the bank. So you can set this up online. There's different sites online, but I don't know. It's a little bit more complex than that. I'd rather you start your own kind of loan company if you're doing any of that stuff. But yeah, that's what you're doing. You're pretty much giving out loans to people. So if you have $1,000 extra and someone wants to borrow $1,000, let them borrow $1,000, and then you hopefully make $80 on that. But it is very risky, very complex. That's why I don't really want to talk about it, because it's not for beginners whatsoever. I actually know one person who does that, and he actually does very well. It's one of his many companies that he owns. It's kind of like a mini loan service, and it's just short-term loans. It's not payday loans, because those can go up to 20, 25, 30% interest. These are more like if you want to open a store, open a restaurant, and you need $30,000 down, and you need whatever, $100,000 for other expenses. So he'll give you that $100,000. And then you pay him back whatever, 5, 10, 15% on top of that. So that's something to think about. Now, investing in other companies, also called venture capitalism, is you're pretty much like investing in the stock market, except it's not a public company yet. That's really what it is. So, meaning like it's those people that, usually this is Silicon Valley. So a lot of people that make apps, they need money up front. And so they're like, oh, this is such a cool app, this new technology. Shark Tank, that's what it is. It's Shark Tank. People pitch you ideas and you own a portion of the company, depending on how much you want to invest. That's what it is. It's very complex. You're going to have to go through their books. It's not for beginners whatsoever. And trust me, a lot of those, like I've never done that type of investing, but I have had to do the research for someone else that has done that type of investing. And so on one deal, I kid you not, it'll be 300, 400, it's like a textbook you have to go through. And it is, it's very complex. It's all numbers and it's all guidelines and just legal stuff. And that's all it is. But saying that, you can have the highest rate of return if you invest, like Eduardo Saverin invested $10,000 in Facebook right to Mark Zuckerberg right when it started. Right? And now he eventually got screwed out, but his stock at one point was worth millions of dollars. It'd probably be worth billions of dollars today if he was still a part of the company. So that's what venture capitalism is. You're pretty much a shark from Shark Tank or a dragon from Dragon's Den. That's all it is. So anyways, I think that's going to kind of wrap it up. I think those are kind of the different ways that you can invest money. There's different ways that you can save money, but that's different from investing. Like by investing, I mean money you put in to get a rate of return, to get a return on investment. I'm not talking about cutting out expenses or anything like that. These are actual investments. So what do you guys think? Did I leave anything out? Do you agree with me? Which one's most suitable for you? Leave a comment, whatever. Tweet at me, Jack Chapple Sci, and hopefully I can get back to you. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. So you all have very beautiful faces. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, that was awkward. And I'll see you guys next time.